Good morning, everyone. It's Jen from the Jen Hayward Show, and I live in Winchester now. I'm just here to do some chatting with you this morning. I have two guests slated to appear, Miss Sarah Jean Stewart and GeeGee, my friend from Zambia. And the general topic today is how to get up when you don't want to. So my guests aren't here yet, but I've sent them the link. If they come, super. If they don't, I just go with the flow. This is a very informal thing that I'm doing. I came to the conclusion that I've lived so authentically and transparently for a long time. And for the last year, I've kind of hid. And so if I create a little bit every day, which means tell a joke, tell a story, that's what I do. I'm a storyteller. So I do a lot of other things to make money, but this is my bread and butter in um, and I see Sarah is in the green room. She'll be right out. So I'm just going to tell you why I chose this topic. So in addition to wanting to create more and things like that, I found myself in a very interesting situation recently. So go 10 years ago, and I certainly had trouble getting out of bed. I had been hospitalized a few years previous. I had a lot of depression issues, and I had a lot of things going on, mostly in my head. Almost every problem in my life back then, I kind of created in my head. And so getting up was a little more difficult because it was fighting not reality. But recently in the last year, I'm a country song. I lost a business, some family type stuff. I lost a house. My dog's still alive. Yay. But a lot happened. And so it's actually filtering all the cognitive tools that I learned and how do I apply them to the fact that sometimes things suck. And I don't want to get up because things suck. Does that make sense? Anyway, we don't have any viewers yet, and that's okay because we'll do this and it'll be on, and someone will watch it 3 months from now and say, "Hey, you're too old to be on TV," and that's the internet. But I just want to point out whatever software I'm using, this is how I think I look all the time. I don't know what magic it has, but that's it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I just want to say a couple things before I bring my guest is that I did two things this morning for myself. Well, one, I had the flu this week and I was supposed to be teaching comedy confidence camp today. And they're like, "Hey, you just had the flu. Why don't we do this next week? Because germs." And also dealing with grade 11 and 12 people, teaching them comedy at a lower than energy level is not the smartest thing. By the end of the day, I would be exhausted. So very, very happy for that. That was a nice blessing. And then I did something I used to do about a year ago, and I just stopped. Something just for me. So I did the Wordle, and I got it. I won't tell you what it is, but I did it, and I won it. And then I did the Worldle, which Sarah introduced me to, and I got it. And it was a hard one. And I was really happy because it's actually somewhere on my list to visit that probably isn't on anyone else's list, but I can't say what it is because then if you're doing the Worldle, then you'll be like, "Hey, Jen messed this up." So without further ado, let's get right to the dialogue. I'm going to bring out my two guests. Feel free to put chatty chats in the comments. If you're on though my personal page, you can't see it, so you can go. I can't see what you're writing. So if you go to the Jen Hayward Show or Adventure Seeker Sarah or any of the public domains we have, YouTube, then we can see it. But if it's just Jen Hayward, you can post and I'll see it on my Facebook, but I won't see it here. All right. So first, I'm going to bring up. I'm going to go by proximity because one is just like up from me, literally in the same house. And it's Sarah Jean Stewart. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning. You get fresh out of the shower, Sarah.
Fresh out of the shower, Sarah. That's a nice smelling, Sarah. Well done. Well done. I'm also fresh out of the shower. My hair I did not wash because you taught me not to wash my hair. That's another episode. But
I wet my hair today.
You wet it. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I do that sometimes. I call it sweat, but first joke out of the gate. Done. Now I can be serious. All right. And the special guest all the way from Zambia, Miss GeeGee. Hello, my friend.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
God, it's been such a long time.
It has. I was so excited because, I'm just so spontaneous. And GeeGee had asked to come on with me, and then yesterday, but then I was so sick, I wasn't up. And then, so I said, "Come today." And then I said, "Oh yeah, I invited Sarah." And sometimes people might get offended that they have to share the spotlight. And GeeGee's like, "Yes, I love Sarah." Yeah, and I think that's good. So GeeGee, tell us a little bit about what's going on with you in life in Zambia right now.
Well, sorry, I'm just, jeez, Milan is texting me like crazy. I'm gonna have to just put my phone on silent.
Tell him hello.
Okay, I'm gonna tell him you say hello when I do
Yeah,
something.
tell him to come online. Hello.
It's working. Okay, life's been great. Well, who am I kidding? I have been a bundle of nerves of late. Jeez, and I thought I was having the best year of my life. I was very hopeful about 2023. I don't know how you guys were feeling. I was extremely hopeful about 2023, but the first quarter, the first half, we're almost halfway, anyways. It's just been a lot of trials. It's been a lot of tribulations. I'm currently on leave, and I'm so glad to be away from work. It's like that was really not knowing how I'm gonna wake up. How I'm gonna wake up each and every day. Sometimes I wake up and sunny day. Happy Gigi, happy go lucky girl, and then some days jeez, I just feel like a bag of so much junk, and I'm just crying about God knows what. And I realized that um I think I'm one to sort of harbor things, because I just get some sort of sanity through working out, just running. I just run and until the pit of my stomach just feels great, and then I carry on. But that is not a nice coping mechanism. Sometimes when things happen, you've got to face them. You've got to cry. I mean, you know. In a nutshell, it's been bittersweet. I'm currently on leave, and I started painting professionally now. Yeah, you can see artwork. Let me just show you a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna start here. There you go. This is one. Been
Oh,
painting.
beautiful.
Yeah, another
Sarah
one right
paints a
here.
lot too, and well, does all
Oh
artsy
yeah,
things.
I had the
Oh, yeah.
slightest idea. And here, I have about three more, but yeah, they're packed away somewhere. Yeah, so um,
So that's been helping you, the
how
painting
you know
process.
how
And
people say sometimes in life, it's really been helping me a lot, like therapy, and you know how people say that sometimes in life you have to learn and unlearn things. I never really understood that up until this point, and they talk about channeling your anger and your frustrations towards something positive. I wasn't really big on that because when something happens, drives me crazy, I'm just gonna go to the store, get me a bottle of wine or maybe a case of Savannah, drink it. Tomorrow is a new day. I decided to tackle this in a different way because I realized I'm not getting any younger. I'm growing up, and soon enough, hopefully, I'm going to be a parent, and I don't want my kids to learn that the only way to tackle things is through substance abuse, or maybe just having some sort of bottle of wine, even if it's just one, and life goes on. No, I want my kids to be able to talk about these things. I want to be a good mom, and more so for myself. I don't want to get to a place like I have been recent years where I just bottle up things, and then one day I'm just sitting down watching a movie, and a simple line catches me, and I'm just there, and I bawl out. I mean, it's just a simple line, but then it's like all those things have been piling up. So I'm really learning. Yeah.
that's great. Thank you. Thank you, Gigi. So funny. I had that happen next to my husband the other day. I was watching Firefly Lane, and I'm not giving any spoilers, but it doesn't end well. And I purposely avoid, what I call trauma porn, like things that are, but it was
Mhm.
just like, it reminded me, and someone on my feed actually put what I was feeling. And it gave an example of a female friendship that they longed for in their life. And I think we can
Mhm.
touch on that in a bit. Now, I'm lucky to have found that later in life in Sarah, and also many more great relationships, still working on it. But it was interesting. It's always something that it feeds you. I don't actually always care about that character that something happened to. It's something that happens within you, and then you start crying. And then I'm next
Yeah.
to my husband, who's just like, this is a horrible show. He's like, why are you bothering to watch this? Why would you want to cry? Like, you cry enough in life. Why are you actively? And I was like, I didn't know how it ended, but that's for
I
sure. But I want to get to Sarah.
actually,
Yeah.
I have a theory on I know you already know this, but I think it's important for other people to hear it too, because sometimes when we're aware of these things, it makes it a little bit easier to digest and we can get away from the patterns. I think
Yeah.
there's a reason that we don't have those deep female friendships that's a little bit deeper than what we think. And if you look to the media, how like what we consume from the time we're teeny tiny, look at the way that female relationships are portrayed. Females are all like women are always portrayed as being catty with each other and all of this drama. And we're
Close at
actually
each other's necks.
to develop relationships.
Yeah, well, I agree. You know, and comparison is the devil, and they teach us from an early age to compare and compete on absolutely everything. And sometimes, you know, you don't even know you're doing it. You know I had that. You know, most people know the Zambia story. There's so many Zambia stories, but the hey, we almost drowned story, and I had probably the loneliest 2 days in my life, only because I saw how many people were reaching out to Sarah, and he's like, I don't know, I'm with one of my people and Josh is the other one, and like no one else reached out. And I'm not like boo-hoo, but I probably wouldn't even have thought that because I'm fulfilled with the people who reached out to me, and I'm just like, I want to rest. But it was just like Sarah's like, I'm on my 85th call because her parents cared, and like all that. And that's not a bad thing, but it was the comparison, I think. And honestly, having female friends is, you know, whether it's like a poly type situation or just best friends or, you know, co-workers. Like I've seen people compete at work over and like get so angry because someone uses their garbage can or something like that. And everything goes to the root of comparison and competing. And I think what Sarah said is, you know, it starts from an early age, especially for those.
Yeah, it does. And I think even without our caregivers realizing it, I think they sort of make us believe that a male friend will be a better friend to you than a female friend. And I think it's just there in our minds and subconsciously, you know, we don't even realize that we're doing it. And then we get to find ourselves in places where you may have this close friend, you're very close and you love each other, you know, growing up. And you find yourself being open more to a male friend because a part of you believes that a female friend won't just look out for you entirely. There's always some selfish motives, you know, and that we really cannot just be there for each other as girls. And there is always some, you know, there's all these things that they make us believe.
Well, it is. And most of, like, I was just thinking about like most female friendship shows that are like for women. And often someone dies. Like it's either that, you know, there's a competition and they learn to be friends, even though they both love the same man or wanted the same job, or it's a lot, or they die or they kill someone together. I mean, and those are good movies. But that is. But I mean, also how exciting is, you know, sometimes the best friendships are just, you know, like some days if people were like, hey, I would like a glimpse into the movie of you and Sarah, and I don't know, we're pretty boring. Like, you know, people, and that's what I realized, but I know how envious people are of our friendship because it's not that they want Sarah or they want Jen or they want GeeGee. They
just want something similar because people look for authentic friendships, and it's not something that you find easy. Like, you know, sometimes the people that you know all your life, you think they're gonna be your best friends all your life, and sometimes you only meet your best friend later in life, and sometimes the person that you least expect. I think we have this notion of saying, hey, I have known this person a very long time, so I'm gonna keep them around. Oh, they're my buddy, my ride or die. But then sometimes those ride or dies are actually toxic. And there is no harm in starting new friendships, building them from scratch and going somewhere. I have learned that. Because I used to be the kind of person that would say, oh, this is my longest friend. I've had them in my life for so long a time. We've grown up together. But tell you what, even the people that we have grown up together with can be really toxic. And then we stick around all in the name of we've had them a long time. Believe me, you can find your best friend later in life when you already know what you like, when you get to realize that, oh, like myself, I don't like to have my dinner after 8 p.m. You know, you get to realize that, oh, I like to have my dinner at 5:30 p.m. Later in life, when you realize, oh, I don't like wine, but instead I like whiskey. Those are just examples. But then when you're a fully grown person and, you know, it's pretty much normal. But then there's just certain thoughts about it. So as far as friendships go, I can say do not be afraid to cut off and do not be afraid to start anew, because
So I,
those have so
go ahead.
much influence over you more than your own family.
That's great. Sarah?
Yeah, so I think that is very difficult for people, for, again, for societal reasons. I don't know if it's the same in Zambia, but I suspect, based on the people that I speak to from all over the world, that we pretty much have the same problem everywhere. That we end up in this, like, well, in every aspect of life, we have this crazy competition culture where we're taught that the only way to win is to get ahead of everybody else. That's the only way you succeed, which is the
It is
exact
everywhere.
of the truth. Like, if you look at asset-based community development, really the only way we all do well is if we all work together. But we're taught that that's not the truth. And because of that competition culture, you know, being vulnerable, knowledge about yourself is power. So it's very difficult to have deep relationships with people if you're afraid that someone's going to hurt you with that information all the time. And if we didn't have that false narrative that we have to compete to succeed, then we wouldn't have that problem as much.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
Now,
and I think the three of us know, we've seen living proof of this in the Sisters of the Holy Spirit in Zambia, is that there's no competition, because and also in indigenous communities, pre-colonization is there is definitely the idea of a circle. That now, okay, the sisters, it's completely different. It's very hierarchical, but it's done in such a way. It's like everyone votes for who the boss is, and they have their own process. And they do it. And so Sister Rose was like, I guess I'm the new boss. Like, it was like, no one is, she's going to be done in 2 years. No one is clamoring for that position, right?
Yeah.
Now, of course, it's different when you've all taken a vow of poverty to not want to get ahead. But the point is, the way they all treat each other is they all are attuned to each other's needs. And they also accept, and this is so important, they accept that no one is perfect. And in North America, I will tell you that this has not been the case. I read Clifford Meyer is a comedian. I'll say this because it was public on his Facebook. And I was shocked and appalled. And it doesn't take, like, I don't get shocked and appalled by much, but because I had the experience in Zambia, I was, where him and his wife were told that, him and his common law girlfriend were told they could not serve the community through the church unless they indicated that they were going to get married, because that was a sin. And so they had worked and they had served, and they, you know, were community driven people. You know, she stepmom to her child, but it really is none of the church's business. And I remember something Sister Rose said was, why would someone say that a sexual sin is more than any other sin? You know, it's someone's going to stop from serving someone else, or in some cases being served, if you don't have the exact same ethics and morals. Like, people who are in need are people who are in need. And it's not like Jesus was walking around stopping people from helping other people. Whoa. Are you giving a penny to that? Tell me if your heart is pure.
Christians,
right?
do contrary. I like how you said, whoever is in need is, what's the thing that you said again? We've got to help people who are in need. What did Sister Rose say about helping people in need? Well,
to help people, help people. Like, you don't need to have a pure heart and virtue. Like, Jesus even talks about that. Is like, if the message gets out, I know the guy's a blowhard, but I mean, I'm paraphrasing. But the way that the women do it is like, they don't even ask if you're Catholic. They don't, like, you need some food, here's some food, right? Like, that's how life should be, and that's that non-thing. So I want to scale us back, because I did want to talk about the topic that we were. And but we've talked about, like, the good things about women friendships. And I think we'll come back to that later in another show for sure. But I really want to touch on getting up.
Sorry, Jen. Before we move on, I just want to say
absolutely.
something. As far as friendships go, as far as relationship friendships, either with the males or with the females, nobody in this life has the ability to not hurt you. At some point, we all hate each other. It can be in a simple comment. It can be how I look at you in the morning. Maybe I'm not in a good mood. So there is nobody in this life that has the ability not to hurt you. But that doesn't mean that we should be able to take on a lot of nonsense continuously. They should be where we draw a line. But knowing in mind that nobody's perfect. You make out of friendships and decide to start other friendships, which is okay. But those new friends you make do not have the ability not to hurt you. They're not superwomen. The opposite is true. You may cut off for good reasons and make new friendships. And these may be really good friends, the likes of yourselves. You two are best friends. I'm sure sometimes you get on each other's nerves. So I just wanted to put that out there, just so everybody knows.
I'm looking at you, Jen. No, I'm just joking.
Well, no, I won't lie to you. What's really funny is like, because I mean, communication is key. Everyone can get hurt, but like Sarah will say something like, that's not appropriate, right? And that's like direct quote. And I was like, not really. I mean, there's a lot of times too that it is teaching because you're looking at life from everyone's perspective. I grew up with my own trauma, my own way of doing things. Obviously, a lot of them don't work, but unless someone is watching, so, having two families live together, we can say, well, do you know that, you deflect this, or do you know you react? And it's hard to hear things negative about yourself. But when I don't look at it, wait, this isn't someone from the street saying, Jesus Christ, Jen, right? This is like my best friend saying, do you know this is how you come across? And I'd be like, I did not know that. Or, yeah, I'm an idiot. Or, yeah, I'm and when that comment comes or that feedback, I have a choice in how I process it. And I'm allowed to feel my first reaction. I'm not allowed to take that and just do you know what I mean? Like, because that's how fights happen. And it's just like, oh, well, let me reflect on that, which I don't really do. I mean, I reflect, but I don't say it. I'm like, I want to talk this out now. And so that's what I have been learning in not getting hurt by things. But that's by that. I also have had messages from people as of late who have sent me messages that they have trouble being my friend because of something not even related to me. And I grew up like that, where people, were upset with me. I'll just be blunt. I don't care. I can call her out on this. Is my mom would blame me for things that my brother did, like as adults, and her mental health lashing out. And so it's just, you just process the feedback you're given in life and go through your own reality, your own perceptions, and your own filters, and then decide if you're, what you're going to do about it. But anyone you can get hurt by anything, but not everyone can hurt you.
Yeah. No, I'm very curious. I mean, why would somebody have a hard time being your friend, Jane? I will tell you.
No, trust me. I'm not. No, no. In this case, there's absolutely no reason for it. It's a long story. We'll tell you offline. Just because I only call out childhood type experiences and things like from my mom that are not hard, things like that. But I'm certainly not going to take down someone else.
You realize that you naturally have that. There is something that you have inside of you. Everywhere that you go, you shine. You're accommodative. You're selfless, and you are lovable. You are loving too. There is so many bitter people in this life, and sometimes they may even be doing way better than you financially and in many areas of your life, but they just like peace and they lack happiness. And they see your happiness, the kind of joy you exhibit, how when you walk in the room, everybody just notices you. They see their failure in your success. It's not your problem. It's not your job to work on any of your friends' self-esteem, or you can help them, but you're not their mama. If really, I think, I don't know what the issues are, but I think the kind of person that you are, it's very normal for all women to be intimidated by you and to feel some sort of hurt. And you are there questioning yourself, Jane. Oh, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe this, maybe this. Jane, you're friends with a nine. I mean, who becomes
me in a different light, though? Like, I guess what I can say is we all live our own realities and perceptions, and how you view me may not be how someone else views me. But I will say that losing $1 million business and your house humbles you to the point where I'm actually happier. Ask Sarah. I was not happy a few years ago when I was at the height of this business, and running a business now, 46 employees, going, I guess this is my life now. Josh and I would say that every day. I guess this is what we do. We didn't want to do it, but we did it out of trauma, did it for all the wrong reasons. So losing things, money's not everything. And definitely.
Well, let me tell you something. Every time somebody tells you that you're crazy, remember this. If you can be friends with nuns, trust me, you're not crazy.
Well, it's true. And 50 nuns. I thought this was just a Sister Rose thing, but like all the nuns. Now, I'm not saying I like all nuns. I haven't met all of you. I'm just saying the Sisters of Holy Spirit, I like you all. So,
yeah.
Okay. So I want to move though. So I want you guys to give tangible tips. So the idea is, when life is crapping on you, okay, how do you still get up? So I have struggled with this. I get up because my dogs have to go to the bathroom. So that is my number one reason every day for getting up, because otherwise it's going to smell. But I'm also an early bird. And when I was at my heart of depression, in 2010, getting up was very difficult because everything was in my head. And so reality, and it was all trauma and everything. But now it's like, some days I don't have things to do. And that is hard for me. Freelancing, when work dried up for 2 months or a month and a half, that was hard for me because it wasn't about money, although that sucked too. It was really about like, I don't know, what's the point? But I still did it every day. And so for me, my tip that I would give, and then I'll get yours, is, of course, gratitude and but it really is just knowing that I've weathered storms and that life goes up and life goes down, and I'm going to be working my butt off in a couple of weeks. So why not enjoy what I have? And what I have is there's son running around having fun. So why wouldn't I join in? And I've had impromptu dance parties pop up. I've had so why don't I try and soak in the fun when I can? And so for me, that's okay. You know what? There is nothing I can do right now to tangibly make money today. So why don't I just say, do what I can with what I have? And that gets me up every day, seeing people that I love and trying to make the best of a fun, or doing a whole bunch of Google Sheets. It's getting a little bit of a problem. I actually did a quiz because her kids are coming this weekend, of all the activities and rating from 1 to 5. And I have a pie chart on and alone time with Sarah and the mom for Mother's Day. And I have all this because it keeps my brain active to help other people, because I like to do that. And when I don't, it's not that I'm codependent and I want everyone to have fun around me and not me. That's not it. I plan on having fun too. But what it is I'm watching this horrible show with this lady who's probably going to die. Sorry, guys. But if you've seen Firefly Lane, someone's probably going to die. I already talked about crying. I gave a spoiler. I'm sorry. I'm glad I don't have a lot of viewers now. But when the bad times are coming, enjoy the good times is what my tip is. So let's go to you, Sarah, for some of your tips.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. I mean, life is everything has its season. I like to say that. So that's the good things and the bad things, right? Typically, those bad things won't last. I mean, the flip side of that is the good things sometimes go away too, but that doesn't make them any less valuable. So my biggest tip, I think, for me, actually goes back to what we were saying before with the perceptions, and that everybody's perception of you is going to be different. There's a million different versions of you out there in each mind of people you've interacted with. But it's actually so much more than that. Like, you would think that, I don't know, let's just choose Jen and I. We grew up in the same country and similar socioeconomic status, both with, similar type of parents, although, I'm going to say that we had a little bit of a different upbringing there. But, you'd think that we'd have a very similar life. Mm-hmm. But that's not true. I talk very, very deeply to a lot of people. I don't really like talking about the weather, or I like to ask lots of questions and really know about people's lives. And everybody's life is so incredibly different, even when you would think they would be similar. Now you start expanding that out to people who are in very different situations within the same geographical area. But then I also speak to people all over the world because of my travel writing and because of, having a bit of an online presence. And then it gets almost unfathomable. Like, you have no idea how different everyone's lives are from one another. And I think remembering that, and remembering that everyone else has their own incredibly unique journey, makes it much easier to deal with life in general, makes it easier to understand that you kind of have to meet people where they are. If people are being unpleasant, there's probably a pretty good reason for that somewhere back in that line. Like, I actually think that
I'm gonna remember that when a colleague pisses me off.
Yeah, it's true though. I mean, you have no idea where they've come from. I think at our core, all of us are actually love. Like, we're all pretty much the same. But then from the very beginning, we're hammered and shaped by trauma until we pretty much just forget that. And so for me, keeping that in mind is very helpful, but, you know, not necessarily practical for everyone if you don't, you know, think abstractly like that. The biggest practical thing that I do when I'm having trouble getting out of bed and starting my day, because let's be honest, look at the past, I was going to say the past 10 years, but the past, all the time, all of life. Sometimes things just suck a lot. And that's always going to be the case, no matter how much money you have, no matter how many friends you have, no matter what's going on. I'm one of the most like loving, outgoing people I know, and still life is kicking me in the teeth constantly, no matter how much good I do, right? So, you know, keeping in mind that that will go away as well. But also for me, reaching out to the people that I trust and that I feel comfort in those moments is very helpful. But also nature and journaling, and, you know, there are lots of practical things that you can do that are helpful. And then I've started doing the gratitude moments every day, or almost every day. I don't get to it every single day. Sometimes I just fall asleep.
I'm grateful for your gratitude moments.
But actually practicing intentional gratitude, even on the days where it kind of feels like maybe you don't have much to be grateful for, I think is a good practice that can help almost anyone, because it just gives you some sort of mechanism to focus on what you do have. Whereas we could all spend hours every day focusing on what we don't have or what's going wrong. But really, you know, what's in your life is really kind of a direct reflection of what's in your head. So focusing on, I know that sounds very cliche, but I swear to God, it works. Focusing on.
Hey, I'm so sorry. I had lost you there.
No,
Don't know what
that's okay.
happened.
Sarah's just finishing up, then we'll get to you. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so I think for me, the easiest, most practical thing is, you know, focusing very deliberately on gratitude daily or regularly, so that you're constantly reminding yourself that even though lots of things suck, and no one's going to deny that that's the truth, there's always good things to look at as well.
Wonderful suggestions, and I want to point out something that you would be the first one to say, is that gratitude and toxic positivity are different things. So one is I'm grateful, like you just said, things suck, this sucks, but here's some things that don't. Toxic positivity, which is really how everyone is expecting me to act all the time, is like, you know, oh, you lost your house and your business. Well, you know, you're just so happy and it's going to be okay. And because people don't actually know how to deal with other people's trauma. Someone actually said that after we almost drowned, when I had said, I was really sad that no one reached out. And they said, I wouldn't have known what to say. And I said, oh, I didn't think about it from other people's perception that, hey, sorry, you almost died, didn't seem, do you know what I mean? Or they thought I might not want to relive it. But toxic positivity is not acknowledging the crappy things. And I think what can happen when people do that is it just builds up and builds up. I'm so happy, I'm so happy. And then all of a sudden you see someone at a postal office having a meltdown on the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
exactly. That was where.
Yeah. All right, GeeGee, give us some tips for when life is getting you down, how to get out of bed and things to get up for.
Well, first of all, I want to say that, you know, when you say that first tip was you wake up in the morning and take a dog out for a poop. You know, it may sound ridiculous, but hey, it's the simple things like that that actually work. You know, they say that when you have something to take care of, you live longer. It's like when you have a cat or even a plant, you live longer. Okay? So yeah, thanks for that tip. And Sarah, when you said reaching out to different people and getting to know them and what their thoughts are and what they are going through, and you get to realize that certain people are bitter or rather angry for different reasons. Well, that was very nice too. Coming to mind, my breather has always been running, just working out. I just run. It works out for me, running and writing. I write letters to God because when I'm in a horrible situation, I find it really hard to pray. So I just write letters to God. I journal. I write letters to God, and
I feel like, I'm praying. Of course, it's a prayer because I'm writing a letter to God, and I just really just express myself, and for me that works out. Yeah, and talking about it, you know, talking about it really helps. And when you're a kind of person that appears to always be tough, you have this tough run. Everybody just thinks that you have it together. When you're going through a hard time, it's really, really hard to open up, unless when that person actually catches you in that particular moment. But it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. Getting to my third point, it's okay to cry. Just cry. And there is this certain relief that just comes on you, like over you, when you cry. And just accepting that you're in that situation. Don't be in denial. Yeah, I would say those are mine.
And those are good ones. I think the fear of crying, I will tell you where I have seen the most crying in life is from offenders, actually, in healing circles. Because, well, healing circles in general will produce a lot of tears. You may not even know you have anything in you, but I have seen people just talking about, but there's just something about the power of a circle. Having people who are facing their own inner demons and things that they've done, but also it's very hard to face things that you've done that without also facing things that have been done to you and to see the actual cycle. And so I think, on a bigger end, the healing, the catharsis of crying. Now, of course, I cry a lot. And it's just like, I will cry out of fear. I will cry out of anger. I will cry. It's my go-to because I'm still not as comfortable expressing all my emotions except for the bigger ones. Love, anger, sometimes anger, not really always, actually, just a little more. I'm still working on negative emotions and processing them. It's a fearful thing. Like it's dumb, but I know where it originates from. But even someone as fair and trusting as Sarah, it can be fearful to have to say something because I don't know, just don't rock the boat or don't.
What, Jane? I think it's just normal. Not everybody experiences it. As ladies, we are very chatty and we like to talk about each other's problems and we just share that. However, sometimes in life, you get to, as you share, you just shut down because sometimes certain friends just take that information out there. Not everybody, okay? Then again, I think it also comes to a point is that Lyndon?
On the camera. On the camera. So speaking of gratitude, so Lyndon, do you want to tell?
How are
This
you?
is GeeGee, and you know your mom. This is Sarah's son. I don't know how to get us both in.
Hi.
So we're talking about things that make you happy and reasons you. So what are your favorite things to do in the day? Play. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
And you know why that's important? Well, because if you think about why I started this, GeeGee actually reached out to me a few days ago when I was on this. I did a live video that I was just doing an announcement and I broke down in the middle of it. And a year ago, I ended up, I was doing all this, these videos, everything, but I had a plan. I had a boss babe. And I realized I just like creating. I am a storyteller. This is my job. So it might monetize, it might not, but my goal is just, I want to get out here and do it. And when GeeGee was like, I want to talk with you, I said, let's do it. And then I was like, let's bring Sarah in. So, hey, Sarah, do you have any questions for Lyndon while he's here?
Well, buddy, we're talking about how we manage to keep going and still live our lives when we're sad. And sometimes you get sad too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do when you're sad or when you're angry to help yourself to feel better again?
I don't know.
Do you sometimes do big breaths?
Yeah.
Remember, we do 5 breaths, right?
Yeah. Helps.
There's
What else?
3 pictures and 3 pictures on here.
Yeah, there's 3 pictures and 3 pictures. You do a lot of observing, don't you, buddy? Yeah.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, no, he's very smart. And so when you get sad, you get sad about, what do you get sad about sometimes?
I don't know.
Or you know what? Let's talk about the mornings. You're kind of, you're not a morning person.
I am.
You are?
A little bit.
A little bit. But sometimes you don't want to see everyone first thing in the morning, right? Because you have your morning routine.
Yeah, and sweet. and watching cartoons and getting ready to go to places.
Yeah, like he's got things to do, and sometimes when you come in and interrupt his morning flow, he's learning to be nicer and more polite about it. But he has every right to say, like, "I'm in my morning routine, everyone. I've got to finish my sleeping. I need to go to the bathroom. I need to." And Sarah posted something the other day that made me think. Like, I just always think it's adorable, but like, he doesn't like to be interrupted in the morning. And today I actually caught up, and she said, I was a post about, so what? Like, so what if a kid, like, why are we expecting a kid to be at a level an adult is? And adults don't always wake up great and happy and things like that. Like, everyone's allowed their emotions. And so
we hold children to a much higher standard than we hold ourselves. And it's ridiculous. Honestly, I think that most of the problems in the world could be solved if we gave children more respect. They're not our possessions. They are their own people as well, and they deserve to be treated with respect.
Say that again, Sarah. You can say that again. You know, when I was talking about not bottling emotions, you know, growing up, I think sometimes, it's not that maybe parents want to make mistakes. I think it's just parents being parents and parents being human beings, you know. Sometimes they think they're doing their best. Sometimes they just mess it up. For whatever reason, growing up, you know, as a kid, I learned to bottle up emotions. And I got to a place whereby I could go to a funeral, guys, and this funeral, somebody has died, a family member, and there's body viewing, guys, and I just look at it. I just look like it's nothing. It hurts, but I can't cry. You know, I go to that place. I mean, I didn't cry when I was a kid. I didn't cry much. I only cried when I fell down or something, and then I really started genuinely crying when I was about 18. So you can imagine there is like 18 years of unresolved garbage in me. And then maybe I get 2 episodes every year if I'm lucky. And then imagine if, for example, there are like 50 episodes that drove me crazy, and then I have to experience one every now and again. So you're all right. If kids could be respected, would sort out so many problems. Because it's okay to cry about things. You know, it's okay to talk about things. If it hurts, let's talk about it. If he doesn't like how you talk to him, you should be free to say, "Hey, Mama, I don't like how you talk to me. I think your tone is too sharp." You know? Yeah, we should be allowed to talk about things and vent. That's why we carry so much baggage as we grow up. Things that could be resolved earlier in our lives.
Yeah, and things just compound, right, as we get into our teen years and as young adults, and then we take those things into problems onto our own children if we don't catch it as an issue. And like you said, it's not like parents are actively doing this and trying to destroy their children. It's just how we've been trained as a society to see young people. It's not that people are, you know, making this choice to treat children like objects instead of people. It's just how it's normally done.
No, and watching it in real time has been very interesting for me. You know, there's theory and there's practice. And this is something Sarah has just naturally done well with all of her children. And it certainly helps. So that was just really funny. I was really worried we were going to be cut off because he was playing with the mouse and he kept saying, "Stop it, Auntie Jen." I was like, "No, just don't touch this." And he's gone now. And the dog is loose. And the dog, no, he's chasing the dog with a wire hanger. I'll be right back.
There are things like that though. Like Lyndon has never lived with animals, right? So we could yell at him anytime there's, you know, if he tries to play with the dogs because he doesn't understand that they're not another kid, right? So he'll you know, be showing them toys and stuff, and we've told him not to do that. But he's 3. He doesn't quite understand. And sometimes we'll say, "No, remember, we talked about that. You know, the dogs have feelings too, and you can't do that." And he'll be like, "Oh, sorry." Like, he feels so bad, and it breaks his little heart. I say, like, "Listen, bud, it's okay. You didn't know that this was a thing that you're not supposed to do. You're still very little. You're still learning how to be a human. You know, you just got here." So,
yeah, she's talking about you.
So it's our job to tell you when something comes up that you need to know. So doing it. But I think that that's another thing that happens a lot with children. We hold children to a higher standard than we even hold other adults. We're punishing children things that they didn't even know.
This guy Tyler Perry was talking about how he was mad at his dad because his dad was abusive towards his mom, he his mama, and also was abusive towards him. And then he says, now that he's older, he realizes that his parents were two wounded children trying to raise a wounded child. And that is what happens majority of the time in this society, you know. And as we bottle up that anger, we grow up angry, but maybe sometimes we may even think that we are happy, you know. And then you grow up and you find yourself in an office of the truth, talking about how you're feeling, how you get agitated nowhere sometimes, and you realize that there's so much childhood baggage that you're carrying around. And then for some people, they take that pain and channel it towards something positive, and some people just walk around being bitter.
Yeah.
You know.
I just want to point out how funny it was. He goes, "Mommy, you're talking about me," and like in a good way. So children are always listening. So I feel I'm kind of losing control of my room right now. But this was a great talk. I'm you know what? I purposely don't lock the door during the day unless I have to, because I do like him to feel free to come in. There's been days he just
boundaries when it comes to Lyndon. He's working on that.
Yeah, well, it's so funny. He'll just come in and be like, "I want to watch cars," and Josh and I will just change the channel because we enjoy our time with Lyndon, right? So it's like the show is going to be there later. But before, I would have been like, "Don't interrupt an adult." But it's just so, you know, he's the boundaries, and he will accept a no, but we don't feel the need to give it unless it's a necessary no, for safety, for things like save it for me yelling no wire hangers while he's running after the dog with a wire hanger. Well, GeeGee and Sarah, I'm going to plan on doing this weekdays at 8. You're welcome to drop in anytime. I'll just send me a message. I'll send the link. I definitely now need to take care of the dog and the wire hangers. So thank you guys for coming out. Have a great, and GeeGee, have a great, your insight is always welcome. You have the younger Zambian, and he knows where you live because it's where Auntie was visiting. Where's that?
Hey.
Yes.
Yeah. He is so smart. He knew that at age 2.
Are you in Mazabuca?
Yeah.
He's asking if you're in Mazabuca.
Oh yeah, I'm in Mazabuca, sweetie. That is correct. You're such a beautiful boy.
Mazabuca is far, far away.
Far, far away.
You know what?
Yeah, he remembers
he's such a happy boy. That's how kids are supposed to be, Sarah. Way to go.
He's a sweet boy. He's
you in his life, you can't give what you don't have. He has love. So he'll be able to give a lot of love later in life.
This is an episode of Lyndon Learns. Sorry.
His big sisters for a lot of that. Like, he has 4 older sisters. They're all in their teens or preteens now. And from the time he was a tiny, tiny baby, they showed him so much respect in that he was his own person. Anytime they wanted a hug or a kiss, they would ask. I remember Lily even saying, "Okay if I pat your head," you know, like she wasn't going to touch him without him saying that was okay. And when he's upset, they help give him strategies for how to calm down. They show him unlimited love to the point where, you know, one of the girls who's a bit older was having a hard time a couple of months ago and was, you know, visibly upset on the coach. And he came over and said, "Oh, you know, sister," I'm not going to use the specific name, "I know life is hard sometimes, and that's scary," and just climbed up and gave her a hug. Like, he's just love and compassion embodied in a tiny human, but that's because he's been shown that from everyone else.
Exactly.
And he will, he will say, "Boundaries, my body, my choice." Sometimes he'll say that so he can sit on the dog. So he's learning, but he's really, he understands, you know, like there's no reason. And that if someone has to pick him up or something, it's because of safety reasons. So by not making a big deal about every single little thing, when the big things happen, like he'll still yell it, but he'll, you know, then Sarah has a conversation with him after to explain why that happened. And it's very lovely to watch. All right, folks. So it's Friday. Monday, I won't be doing this. I say every day, but I am doing a facilitation on Monday. And Sarah's off in Montreal.
Okay, guys, thanks for having me.
Goodbye, and
Sarah,
say
I'm so happy to see you on this
bye
one.
bye. And thank you, Nick Ellen. He made a comment.
Bye, Jen.
He said, bye, mommy. We can go
Say
see
hi
her.
to the Say hi to the Joseph.
We're going to end the broadcast.